Hi friends, Miss Larkin here. Welcome back to lesson 6 of Too Good for Drugs. So last time we talked about friendship qualities, and we talked about that a healthy friendship quality might be something like honesty, trustworthiness, reliability, loyal, supportive. And we also talked about making sure that we want to be a good friend so that we can have good friends, because both of those are important. Today, we're going to talk about managing our mistakes and how to do that with medicines. Have you ever made a mistake? I bet you have. I have. We all tend to make mistakes. We want to make sure that we're good to ourselves when we make mistakes. We want to make sure that we're not too hard on ourselves and don't beat ourselves up, because that doesn't really help us learn. When we take a look at our mistake as a learning experience, we tend to grow faster. We want to make sure that when we make these mistakes that we're having positive self-talk so that we can see the good in the mistake and how we can do better next time instead of talking about what a terrible, awful thing it is. Because we're not going to learn very much if we stick with all the negative stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how positive and negative self-talk can affect the way that we act and the decisions that we make. So go ahead, take a look at your worksheet, and I'm going to read us a story. Archie was so excited about the camping trip next weekend. He asked his mom to take him to the sporting goods store so he could buy the sleeping bag he'd been saving for. Archie's mom waited at the exit while he went to the cashier to pay for the sleeping bag. The cashier said, "That'll be $32.76. As Archie counted out his money, he lost count and didn't hand the cashier enough money. The cashier said, "You have to give me more than that." Archie thought, "I'm so stupid. I don't know how to count." Archie was embarrassed and frustrated. When he noticed a line of people waiting behind him, Archie grabbed his money from the cashier and dashed out of the store, leaving the sleeping bag behind. On the drive home in the car, Archie's mom asked him what happened. Archie yelled, "Leave me alone." So what I want you to do is take a look at your worksheet and look at the list of events and put them in order from 1 to 4. 1 is the first thing that happened and 4 is the last thing that happened. Take 2 minutes and do that now, and we'll take a look at it. What'd you come up with? The first thing that happened was Archie made a mistake counting his money. The second thing that happened was Archie used negative self-talk. The third thing that happened was Archie felt embarrassed and frustrated. And then lastly, he lashed out at his mother. So Archie had negative self-talk, and then he felt embarrassed and frustrated, and then he made a bad decision by acting out at his mom. So Archie's negative self-talk led to feeling badly about himself, his negative emotions. And that led to him not reaching his goals and making bad decisions like lashing out at his mom. Part of our worksheet, what I want you to do is write down Archie's negative self talk statement. I'm so stupid, I don't know how to count, into something positive. What could he have said to himself that was still true, but in a nicer way? Take 2 minutes and do that now. You might have said something like, I made a mistake. Happens to everyone. Or I can try again. Or I can ask for help. Because Archie could have asked the cashier for help. He could have called his mom over. I mean, the cashier's job is to count money, and his mom loves him, so she would so have helped him. Because it was just a mistake, and we all make them. Changing the way that Archie talks to himself could have changed the outcome of what happened. If he had said to himself instead of, I'm so stupid, I don't know how to count, and changed it to something positive like, I made a mistake, I can try again, or I can ask the cashier for help, he would have ended up leaving with his sleeping bag, which was his goal in the first place. And he wouldn't have lashed out at his mom, and things would have ended much differently and much better for Archie. Using positive self talk can change the way we feel about our mistakes, and we can turn them into a learning experience instead of big, horrible accidents. Our next section of our worksheet is titled Making the Best of It. So there's 4 questions there. The first one is to write down a mistake that you've made. And then I want you to write down a negative self-talk that you had to yourself when you made that mistake. Third, how can you change that negative self-talk into something positive? And then 4, how can you look at that mistake as a learning experience? For example, maybe I made this mistake and I was rushing through the kitchen and I dropped the glass and the glass broke and shattered everywhere. Maybe I said to myself, God, I'm such a klutz. I'm so stupid and dumb. What I could have said instead was, I need to slow down a little bit. I'm rushing. It's okay that I dropped the glass. It was just an accident. And I could ask for help to clean it up. I could look at this as a learning experience and learn that I need to not be in such a hurry all the time. I need to slow down a little bit. So go ahead and answer those 4 questions about a mistake that you recently made. We make mistakes when we tend to be rushing and we're being careless. We don't stop and think about what we're doing. And a lot of mistakes we can learn from, and they're just accidents and it's okay. And then there's other mistakes that are dangerous or unsafe, and we want to try to avoid those mistakes altogether. An example of that might be how you take your medicine. So we're going to talk now about how to have safe medicine practices. What's the first thing you should do when you're not feeling well? You should tell your adult. Because they might say, you just need to drink some water or go take a nap or have a healthy snack and you'll feel better. And sometimes they'll give us a medicine to help us feel better. Those medicines are usually called over-the-counter medicines. They're medicines that we can get from the Giant or the grocery store, the Walmart or the CVS, and we don't need a doctor to say it's okay. As long as we have our grown-up and our grown-up says it's okay, we can have those medicines. And then there's other medicines that we can only take if the doctor says it's okay. And we call those medicines prescription medicines. So we're going to take a look at how we can use prescription and over-the-counter medicines safely. I'm going to read you a statement and you're going to decide which answer fits best. Prescription, over-the-counter, both, or neither. Okay, you ready? These medications can be harmful if used incorrectly. What's the right answer? Prescription, over-the-counter, both, neither. Well, the correct answer is both. Either medication that we take, over-the-counter or prescription, has to be following the directions, or they can hurt us. So we want to make sure that we know that even though it comes from a doctor, or even though we can just get it at the store, that it's very important that we follow the instructions so that we don't make ourselves sick by accident. Question number 2. It is safe for you to take these medications by yourself without the help of your trusted adult. What do you think it is? Prescription, over-the-counter, both, or neither? If you answered neither, you're right. Because remember, we agreed that we want to make sure the first thing we do when we don't feel well is to talk to our trusted adult. Now, some of us might have an inhaler or an EpiPen. We've talked to our adult about how to take that and when to take that. And we know how to do that. So if you have that, we don't necessarily need to check in with an adult each time we take a puff of our inhaler. But we want to make sure that we've had a conversation with our adult about when's the appropriate time to take our inhaler. Number 3, these medicines are labeled with instructions to help an adult give the medicine safely. Prescription, over-the-counter, both, or neither? What do you think? If you said both, you're correct. What are some of the things that we find on our label? Well, if it's a prescription medicine, it might have our name on it, might have our address, but both of them will tell me what kind of medicine it is, how much it is, and how I'm supposed to take it. And there's really specific rules about how often and how much I'm supposed to follow. And those are really important because if I don't follow those instructions, I might make myself sick. Statement number 4. It's against the law to share this type of medication. Which one is it? Well, if you guess prescription, you're absolutely right. A prescription medication is meant just for you. So even if I have the same medicine as you do, it's not safe for us to switch it because there might be something different. Maybe the amount, maybe the way that it comes. So prescription medications are just meant for the person they're written for. What are some of the things that the doctor needs to know before writing a prescription medicine? Well, he needs to know who you are. He needs to know how old you are, how big you are. He needs to know what's wrong with you. Because maybe we have the same symptoms, but maybe the way that we need to get them fixed are different. That's why it's important to not share medicine, because I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to school for that. And I'm not a pharmacist. Didn't go to school for that either. So we want to make sure that we follow the instructions of the people who know how to use these medicines. Number 5. These medicines should be stored on the bathroom counter so everyone can reach them. What do you think? Answer is neither. We don't want to store our medicine on the bathroom counter. And here's why. One, because we don't want those little brothers and sisters or cousins to get into stuff that they shouldn't get into. Because if our little sister or brother gets into things that they don't really understand what they are, they could accidentally take too much and hurt themselves. And we also want to make sure that, like, maybe you have a forgetful grandma, and sometimes she bumps things off the counter and doesn't remember to pick them up. And sometimes it opens up. And we don't want our puppy to get to it either, or our cat, or our hamster. We want to make sure that we're making our medicine hard for anyone that shouldn't get to it to get to it. So we should have our medicine locked up in a cupboard or in a medication lockbox. That way, it only gets to the people in our family that it's supposed to get to. Statement 6. These medications can be used by more than one person. Over the counter. Over-the-counter medicines like Tylenol or Advil, Tums, Pepcid, all those things, we can share that with more than one person. I can take the Tylenol, you could take the Tylenol, Grandma could take the Tylenol, as long as we're following the instructions and that we're checking with our trusted adult, because we want to make sure we're telling them what we're putting into our bodies. We don't just go putting stuff in there. It's not safe, because sometimes we have allergies that we don't even know about. And there's lots of different things that come in medicines that you wouldn't even think of. So it's really important that we're making sure we're checking with our adult before we take anything, even if it's just an over-the-counter medicine. Number 7, it is harmful to take more than the recommended amount of these medicines. Both. Medicines, even if they come from a doctor, if I don't follow the instructions, can make me really sick. And you may be like, but Miss Larkin, I can take Tylenol, it's not going to hurt me. Actually, it really might. Because Tylenol has a medicine in it called acetaminophen. And acetaminophen is another name for Tylenol. But not everybody knows that. And sometimes a lot of cough syrups have acetaminophen or Tylenol, which is the same thing, in them. So if I have a headache and I don't feel good, and I take Tylenol to help my headache, and then I start to realize, I kind of have a stuffy nose too, and then I take a cough syrup that also has acetaminophen in it, and I do that a couple of times, I could make myself really, really sick. Acetaminophen, if we take too much of it, can actually make us so sick that we might even die. So we want to make sure that we're talking to our adults about the things we're putting into our body so that we don't accidentally take too much of it. Because a lot of people, even grown-ups, don't know that. And it's really important that we learn how to read labels and know that things like acetaminophen make us very sick and that we should be very careful to only take exactly what we're supposed to. So now you have some great information about how to take over-the-counter and prescription medicine safely. Remember, we always want to make sure we're talking to our trusted adult because they're there to help us. But we also want to learn how to read labels ourselves so we can make sure that we're taking care of us. We've learned lots of good ways to take care of yourself, our friends, and our family. Amazing job. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, friends.